What's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. Now, in this reading, this is going to be a juicy one. I've got a juicy introduction for you. So, tune into the introduction. The reading's going to be about crazy, and I'm kind of inserting a little bit of humour into this reading because for the picker piles, we've got three different screws, and I was playing on the term here of having a screw loose, and something kind of occurred to me where I was listening to a YouTube reading actually, and I was kind of fascinated with how sometimes people throw out the word of kind of being crazy, and for all of the people who kind of watch this video, I want you to not even just this video, but this channel. There's one thing that I hope that people take away with them when watching my videos. Obviously, that you take away wisdom and you have something to reflect on. But another thing that I hope that people take away is understanding human behavior. Because I just feel like, for me, in terms of all my success, really, actually, I was going to say financial success, but kind of all my success in understanding or maintaining healthy relationships of all kind, financial, romantic, or friendship, was really understanding human behavior. You know, it was, I think they even call it, is it critical thinking? Like the ability to think for yourself. That really kind of jet fueled my decisions in life and my understandings in life. And I'm just passing this on to you today on the topic of crazy, because it's something that I was able to self-reflect on. And I find that, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with using the word flippantly, like, oh man, you acting crazy, or I'm acting crazy. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about the inability that people have to actually understand how we work as humans, and how that word holds so much more complexity than we realize. I'm going to give you a really black and white scenario so you understand this. Now, people throw out the word crazy, right? But what they don't realize is that how we base someone on crazy, at least in a negative way, actually has a lot to do with attractiveness. And you'll be like, what the hell? That went a bit left or a bit right, whatever side of the crazy you're on. Attractiveness, where the hell did that come from, Zed? Attractiveness. And I'm saying to you, yes, your ability to point the finger at someone and say, hey, they crazy, especially in a negative way, usually is based on one's attractiveness. Now, I'm going to give you two examples because I don't know if you're female or male watching this, or whatever gender you identify with. I can't just make up examples actually for everyone, but it doesn't matter what race you are as well. But I'm gonna keep it simple here and stick to two genders so everyone can kind of grasp my examples. Now, I want you to take the example of, like, I think her name is Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. If you're a bit confused about who that is, think about Halloween and think about who a lot of girls like dressing up with as. It's basically the Joker's girlfriend, or partner. They might be married for all I know. But the Joker's partner, now, she kind of looks somewhat like a bit of a clown, but she's got these little pigtails in her hair, and she's considered what most people would call sexy. Now, this girl, or at least the way she's acting, is definitely crazy, and it's most likely definitely crazy in a bad way. But because she's attractive, people kind of give this pass on it, like, okay, like, okay, she's kind of crazy, but I like it. And if you're a man watching characters like this, you probably give it even more. You give characters like that even more of a pass because we're thinking with our brains and not our brains. Do you know what I mean? So there's a bypass that happens there. To understand the depth of what I'm trying to say to you here, part one, part two, and part three is listening. Is now imagine Harley Quinn with the same personality. Now imagine her obese. Now imagine her with acne over her face. And now imagine her an extremely unattractive height to you personally, however you may see that. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man listening to this. And now give her that same personality. And now what kind of crazy is she? And with that said, there's probably something, hopefully, that's gone off in your brain that's gone, shit, I understand what he's saying. I'm saying, like, literally, even imagine that kind of character walking down the street. It's a completely different thing from the Harley Quinn that you see in Hollywood and the energy that radiates. Completely different. I'm going to give you another example now with a male. And this male is actually close to my heart. Johnny Depp. Because believe it or not, I know I'm black, but I used to, especially at Halloween, if I ever dressed up as a pirate, people used to always say, "Oh man, you like the black Johnny Depp." I think I even called myself Black Sparrow once. But my point is, Johnny Depp is another great example of this. Now, I'm not saying that Johnny Depp is typically what women or men, whatever floats your boat, deem as attractive, but he's definitely got attractiveness to him. Now, when I was younger, I used to be like, Johnny Depp's a bit weird. Little did I know that I was a little bit weird myself. That's why I was probably getting compared to Johnny Depp as well. but, but I used to think, like, damn, he's almost a bit like twitchy. Like, the older I got, I was like, fuck, I understand now. Like, shit. Johnny Depp's just been through a lot. That's kind of why he's like that. If anyone's curious, like, to know why Johnny Depp's the way he is, I don't know his full life story, but he's probably just been through a lot of shit. Now, Johnny Depp, same dude, who's everyone loves him because he's quirky, he's a bit weird, he's funny in his own way. He's got some form of what people might just call appeal to basically hide the fact that he's an attractive man. They'll come up with all these different words, which basically put smoke and mirrors on the fact that we're giving this person who's a little bit odd a pass because we find him somewhat attractive. That's what's actually happening. Now, I want you to imagine again, Johnny Depp's same personality. Now, I want you to imagine someone really, really tall, really, really skinny, weird ass glasses on, bald head, bit smelly. Again, face covered in acne, kind of weird red eyes because he hasn't been sleeping. And I want you to imagine him behind you at the queue when you're paying for your groceries. But it's the same Johnny personality that we all love. Do you see how you got a problem on your hands real quick? So everyone who's listening on this, well, I'm choking up on my own words. Everyone who's listening to this, like I hope that you're getting I hope the penny's dropping for you. This is actually human nature. This actually is the truth of how we work as humans. Now, I'm not saying it's the complete truth, and I'm not saying I'm a psychologist or psychoanalyst or anything in the mental realm to be able to give you valid points on what I'm saying here. I'm not a professional. But what I am saying is that I've used my own brain here and realized that there's certain just things that people talk about and they don't really understand what's going on, you know? They don't really understand the truth. They don't understand sometimes it's not even the cruelness of how humans are. It's just the actual, the realness of how humans are, the reality of how humans are. So the same word of crazy can be literally something that makes a person quirky and cool for one person, and it can be something that makes them weird, or they need help. That person's not, that person is a hindrance to society. They turn into that real quick, literally, just based on one's attractiveness sometimes. Now, I'm not saying there's no exceptions. There is definitely people out there who are highly attractive and the mental health has deteriorated too far and the attractiveness just doesn't save them. But, 9 times out of 10, when it hasn't become that severe, you might find that what I'm saying to you it holds some weight. Now, another thing that I wanted to kind of give you in this reading, part number 1s, 2s, and 3s, is again, just this is maybe more from my experience, possibly, so it might not resonate with everyone. But I've come to realize that the true crazy people are actually sometimes the most silent people, the most hidden people. They're not the people who are making YouTube videos scared scared that their tarot readings are getting out to the wrong people, or the person on YouTube who has like a collection of really weird collectibles, posting them on YouTube and scared that everyone's going to think they're crazy, or just really into a weird quirk and posting that on YouTube. Those usually aren't the people who are actually the type of crazy that causes too much damage in society. The real crazy people are actually in places of I don't know how to put it, but in positions of a lot of power. And they're the type of, so again, I'm not like a mental health professional here to diagnose people with all different types of, what do they call it? Like when someone's a psychopath or a narcissist, all those diagnosis. That's not really my field, but all I'm trying to say is from my experience. This is actually from my experience. Some of the most crazy people are the ones who don't actually talk on kind of blasé little topics like what we're talking about here on YouTube, or just very, I think the words like mundane things. The real crazy people are the people who are murdering people and suppressing people and doing all kinds of dark shit, and wait for the killer, wait for the big point in this. they're doing it in the shadows. They're, they're doing it without being caught. They're the real crazy. And we get little glimpses of this and we ignore it as society, or we don't even ignore it, but we like publicize it for a little bit like it's a new song, and then we let it fade away. Like I've come into the, I'm trying to come into the habit. I fucked up a little bit because I talked about Johnny Depp and Harley Quinn in the start of this video. But I realized that talking about people's names is a low vibrational thing, because those people can always be us, it can always be you. You could always be on the other side of that, and you can be misinformed. So I try and not use people's names at all when it comes to these readings, because it's low vibrational. But just know, when I do it, it's a mistake. So I was going to use someone's name again there, but I'm not. I'm going to say, think about certain famous people we know where they have islands and do sick and twisted shit. Think about like the whole kind of sex traffic industry. Think about the hidden paedophilia that goes on in society. There's levels to this shit, you know? And what I'm trying to say is that the actual real crazy people, what I've come to realize in places of power, and this goes for architecture, for real estate, for banking, for investing, for all kinds of industries. I'm not really, I'm not familiar in all industries, but I'm sure it goes on in most. The people who are actually really, really crazy, they're they're the ones that don't go into the mental hospital most of the time. They're the ones who get away with it. So what you have is a whole bunch of peasants. And you know what? To an extent, I'll throw myself in there. You have a bunch of peasants calling people criminals and crazy. Look, you crazy. Your mental health is fucked up. You this, you that. You have a whole bunch of peasants calling people each other names. And then you've got these power players who are actually doing almost the most damage and the most sickest stuff. And they couldn't care less. So it's just something I wanted to leave you with in this introduction, just something to think about. Be cautious before you use that word crazy and call someone crazy. It's the same way that you want to be cautious before you call someone rich or wealthy. There's actually levels to that. You want to be cautious before you say to someone you love them. Are you sure you even know what love is? There's levels to everything. So, yeah, I've just come to find that sometimes people give away their position of knowledge when they throw out terms like this. And I hope that you are able to, maybe get a laugh from this, or maybe have like a mental breakdown because you know that I spoke some truth in it. Either way, you're going to be better and you're going to be stronger from it. And I'll get stuck in to the piles. As always, we've got pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. I'll start with pile number 1s. Your type of crazy this is going to be about. Your type of crazy, pile number 1s. Abstract, obviously. We're talking about crazy here. I don't know, I feel like this is going to be a fun reading. Don't take it too personally. Watch the introduction if you haven't already. Something really weird's just happened. There's a bus, if you can hear that outside my window. And I think that's really connected to your reading. The bus is like bus is not in good shape. Um, do you know what's coming to me? Like Spirit's giving me uh, bus stops. So when I'm looking at this reading, I'm seeing like almost these. I'm seeing almost like four things here, possibly like four stops. I feel pile number ones, your type of crazy. This is actually coming through in quite a beautiful way, actually. Um, this isn't so much about what your type of crazy is. Your type of crazy comes from, and this might be my pile. It might come from the ability not knowing like when to stop. So I got that bus come through, and it was like you got to know when to stop. So your crazy might come through actually exhaustion. You might get exhausted, and then in that, it sounds really obvious. It's like, why like it sounds really obvious because obviously this is not a reading on people's mental health or anything like this. It's a bit risky even doing a video like this, I guess. But the good news for you, pile number one, is I feel like everyone gets a bit crazy when they are tired or exhausted. It's like almost like you don't get enough rest. I'm not sure if you suffer with not being able to sleep well or something like that. I can't relate to that too much myself, but I can definitely relate to the fact of like maybe overdoing it sometimes. So pile number ones, this is just a reminder from Spirit to get rested. Don't overexhaust yourself. It's like the person who goes, like in a really simple way, it's like the type of person who goes, oh man, I've got a headache. And, their partner's looking at them like, yeah, because you slept 2 hours. That's the reading, pile number one. So quite short ones. I think a lot of the information today came from the introduction. So like I said, check it out if you didn't. If you like the video, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Pile number twos. You're kind of crazy. Now, check out the introduction if you haven't already. These are going to be quite quick readings. But, a lot of the gems I feel are in the introduction. Pile number twos. Something to do with your face. So, I think that's going to be different for everyone watching and listening. Obviously, use your own intuition. Pile number twos. Can't really put my finger on it. The only thing that's coming to me is almost like poker face. And it's funny because we talked about this a little bit in the introduction. It might be that you got a bit of a poker face, like you might be one of those people who I mentioned in the introduction. Well, actually, let's take that vibration off. Let's say that you're not that type of person, but whatever it is, it's like you might be quite good at hiding it. So, for example, with this channel, one of the cool things about this channel is that these readings really express my intuitive side, my psychic side, my spiritual side completely. Like there is nothing held back on this channel at all. Like when I find that when I do things, I kind of do them completely. So when I'm in architect mode, I do it completely. You get me as a full architect. When I'm here, you get me completely. If I feel like swearing, I swear. If I feel like talking about something like a tangent, I'm gonna go off on that tangent. If I feel like talking about star seeds, I'm gonna talk about star seeds. If I feel like talking about angels, I'm gonna talk about angels. If I feel like just talking about something logical, I'm gonna talk about that. It just comes out in a way which it is what it is. And I think there's something incredibly healthy about that. Part number two is it's almost like if what I'm saying to you maybe resonates with you, then I'd say completely keep doing that thing. You might be though, and that's for just some of you. You might be someone who's thinking as they're listening to this, I want to be able to do that. Because I'm getting poker face here. I'm feeling like you're maybe still holding something back. And you might be able to take a little bit of inspiration from that pile number two. Is that like, this reading is about you're crazy at the end of the day. And it's like there is something really the word isn't enlightening. There's a word that I can't think of right now, which it's a word which kind of explains like really feeling like complete and fulfilled when you express like your full crazy and your full self. Like money can't buy it. Another person can't give it to you. Like, you probably, part number two is you probably know what word I'm talking about actually, but it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't say it, I can't think of it. But there's just something so like fulfilling. It's not that word, but it's something so fulfilling because it's more spiritual than that. Like it literally makes your heart chakra glow up. When you just put something out and you're like, do you know what? That was me though. That was 100. That was 100% me. It's the kind of it's the shit which gives you the flow energy. It's the shit that makes you go. It's the shit that makes you sleep well at night. That when you put something out and you're like, do you know what? It's some people who are maybe listening to this. It's the same kind of feeling which you might be able to relate to this in a way of like even just like fashion. It's buying that garment and going, do you know what? I know that is not everyone's cup of tea, but I really fuck with it. And you wear it. And you feel good wearing it too. It's that feeling, I'm not sure. Some of you might not even have, like, you might not even relate to that energy. Like, there's some people I can think of actually who don't even have the confidence to do that. So I'm not even gonna try and, I don't even want to trigger people with that because I know that sometimes it even takes confidence to do that. I can think of like a good few people, even in my family, who are like, they'd be too scared to do that. They're the type of people who always goes, I wouldn't be able to pull that off. And that's okay, but like maybe if you find yourself to be one of those people, this message is even more for you because God is, the universe is saying to you like, take the poker face off, take the mask off. And it doesn't matter if you're doing it like me here, where you've got, these two sides of yourself, like the oil and water. Sometimes life's that way. Sometimes you just do two things that are a little bit like oil and water. And it's maybe that they're not even like oil and water. It's just you haven't You know, even like oil and water, there's probably some method of bringing those two substances together. It's just we probably haven't thought of it. Or maybe there is. Maybe there's like a third, like, I don't want to say a chemical, but a substance that actually merges those two things together. Maybe there's like something missing in between that helps to bind those two substances together. And it probably is actually when you think about it, like any moisturizer and stuff, isn't it? It's like they've usually got some form of oil and some form of water in them. So, um, pole number two is like, just to finalize, it doesn't matter how you express what's underneath this mask. Like I say, if it's something which is separate from your um, day job, if you're playing it a little bit like, you know, Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Batman in the night, kind of how I tend to roll. Or if you're just saying fuck it too, you know, if you're saying that, look, I've got this. Let's say you're an author, and you for your whole life you've written books on um, romance, and then suddenly you say, you know what, I'm going to write books on science. So what if my audience don't care? I'd honestly say, like, so that's probably a good example. Like, sometimes it's worth actually starting a new brand if you are a romance writer and you suddenly want to write books on science. It's actually a pretty good example. Like, sometimes actually, like, this is a good example where you might need to break those two things. But and maybe a better example is, you know, you write books on romance, you know, like just almost novels on romance, and then you want to write books on dating. Your audience might just have to evolve with you there. That makes sense. You say, yeah, I'll still do romance, but actually, once a year, I'm going to release books on dating now too. Every every year, I used to give you two books on romance, and now I'm going to give you one book on romance and one book on dating. Bingo. Now insert whatever thing your thing is underneath this mask. It might be something. I feel like there might be a little bit of like, not maybe shame but embarrassment here, or like a confidence issue. Um, yeah, just take that mask off and do it in a way which creeps you in. You know, I even found pile number twos, even with this channel, right? I found that it it took me like a while to get into the swing of it as well. Like, I think even from the very start, I was authentic with what I was doing. It's just like everything, you kind of just get into a rhythm, and in that rhythm, you kind of find out where you sit as a reader. For me, and then for you, it's whatever you do. You might realize that, okay, this is where I sit, and that might look it might look a little bit different to how it looked at the start, but that's how it's kind of meant to be, if you ask me. So pile number twos, I hope you got something from this. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Okay, pile number three is you're crazy. Your type of crazy. Okay, your message came through pretty loud and clear. So there's something which I feel like pile number threes, I nearly called you pile number twos. Pile number threes, you know what type of crazy you are. I feel like you already knew before you came onto the pile. You might have been the people who were maybe laughing with my introduction. You probably already got what I was saying, or if you didn't, you were on board. You kind of fucked with it. I feel like pile threes, you know yourself. You know, there's some people out there who are hiding from their own crazy. And then there's some people like us. I'd put myself in this camp. It's like I know where my crazy is, and I'm not ashamed of my crazy. I'm not stupid with my crazy, so I understand that there's some people who don't understand my crazy or my genius. Put it whatever way, kind of whatever floats your boat. Um, I know there's people who maybe not understand who don't understand it, so I don't naively throw myself in situations where I know my crazy isn't going to be appreciated. A good example of this would be like my intuitive drawings and how I'm channeling. Um, there's someone there's someone in my eventual comments who will probably say something like, "Hey, just express yourself, be yourself. Don't let no one dull your light." But there's a time not to bring something which is very open-minded like this to a church, for example, especially a traditional church. If I was doing tarot, for example, I don't really vibe with tarot actually too much anymore. But let's say, for example, if I was a tarot reader, probably not a wise choice. Probably a good, opportunity to actually dim your light a little bit in that circumstance and not kind of bring tarot to the doorstep of a traditional church. Do you know what I'm saying? Use your own discernment with that one, Pal Freeze. But you do have people out here who will think that's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe they just want the fight. Maybe they just got something unresolved in themselves. Maybe they're just a little bit scarred from like the past life traumas. Like I can relate to it a little bit myself. Like if I was some form of like a alchemist, was it like a witcher in the past? Like I can see where they were like. If I was some form of like, I don't know, like basically someone who was against whatever was in power, I can understand why you can come into this life and be a bit like wanting to get revenge, but I don't think that's the way, y'all. So, anyways, part number 3. Back to your energy. Back to your energy. I think you kind of know yourselves well. There's this cup or mug coming through. It's reminding me like yeah, I just don't even think there's even more to this reading. I think you're probably hearing just laughing along part number 3. Like I think you're just vibing. The message that I just got confirmation from is that you know thyself here. So um I think that's the pat on the back, the trophy that I'm awarding you is this cup is like there's something so stable about this cup energy. You might be doing work with your vessel, understanding like your heart chakra, who you are. But there's something about this reading, the energy in this reading, it's just solid. So I don't have much to say to you. If you feel like that energy doesn't resonate with you, if you feel like your crazy is all over the place, then this may be an energy that you're striving into, or maybe your future self, maybe that's who you're becoming. But really, pile number 3 is like there's not really much I can give you here. I feel like this is the pile number 3s, which you're maybe like the thinkers as well. So it's like you quite easily grasp like topics like I was talking about. You might be the thinkers. You might you might have your ego, like a healthy ego. You take things with a pinch of salt. You're not up in your feelings about things. So that's it really, pile number 3s. I hope this reading was helpful for you. It's maybe just a bit of confirmation for you. Keep being solid. If it resonated, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.